Merlinsports.
Hey everyone, this is Fenomena from Merlinsports, and I'm joined once again by DDawg. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, my friend. How's it going tonight?
Oh, it's going pretty good. And we finally made it. We're finally here. This is our Super Bowl preview show. So we finally whittled it down to the last two teams. Um, just pretty exciting matchup, and the conference finals were pretty great as well. Two very different games, but entertaining in their own way. So we have the Philadelphia Eagles representing the NFC taking on the Kansas City Chiefs representing the AFC. And of course, the major storyline is, can Kansas City be the first team ever to win 3 Super Bowls in a row? And the secondary storyline is, this is a rematch of the Super Bowl from 2 years ago. So this 2 out of the last 3 years, Kansas City and Philadelphia have met in the Super Bowl, and it was a very close matchup last time. So, well, let's break it down. Maybe let's start with the NFC. And first of all, what did you make of the Philadelphia and Washington game and how Philly got here?
Well, I mean, watching that game, you can't turn the ball over, and every team that turned the ball over in the postseason has paid the price. Detroit paid the price against Washington. Baltimore paid the price against Buffalo, and so you're looking down this game in, and it was actually, the weather was pretty good. So I mean, it was kind of surprising, but I think Washington probably just ran out, right? I mean, they hit the high point of the season, beating Detroit and then getting to the conference finals. But I just think that they ran out of gas. They went too far, and Philadelphia, yeah, as you said, they're coming back here. They were here 2 years ago. Last year they started off red hot, and then they just totally collapsed in the second half of last season. But and this year, they started off a little slow. They were 2-2, and then just got red hot. And I think a lot of it contributes to Saquon Barkley, right? So if you can't contain that guy, it's going to be a long day for you, right? And he is a weapon. He's not a guy that's just a running back. He's not the big bruiser like Derrick Henry, who can break free and take it 80 yards. He can take it 80 yards, but he's not the big bruiser. He's gonna make you miss. He's a powerful guy. If you watch just looking at him, Saquon Barkley, he's always been a freak since his Penn State days. So Philadelphia exploited the fact that Washington didn't have an answer for him, and the game, once it started snowballing out of hand. I know Washington has come back a lot in the season, but they just couldn't handle it, trying to come back in that game. Philly's defense is way too strong. They got a lot of pressure on Jaden Daniels, and they just created a lot of havoc and turning over. I mean, it was mostly the fumbles, right? I mean, it wasn't like they're throwing interceptions. It was fumbles that they were giving up, and
the stat line was
you just can't give a good team opportunity, right?
Right. Three lost fumbles during that game, and 1 interception actually from Jaden Daniels. So 4 turnovers in total. And you mentioned it. I mean, you lose the turnover battle, and chances are you're going to lose the game. And well, sure. Now you have Saquon Barkley, which is you basically have a home run hitter who usually likes to go deep late in the game and is a threat at any time. Other thing was, Jalen Hurts distributed the ball a little bit through the pass game. So, A.J. Brown, had 6 receptions, just a tad under 100 yards and a touchdown. So, all in all, a great performance by Philly. But, not to despair for Washington, because the future is bright. And if they, off season, I think if they make some improvements on defense, they're Washington and Philly look like they're gonna battle it out for that division in the next, for the next few years, while Giants figure out who they are, and I don't know what to make of Dallas, but looks like Washington and Philly are gonna kind of battle it out. So the future is bright in Washington, and it's probably we thought that nobody would top C.J. Stroud's rookie season from last year with the Texans, but I think Jaden Daniels has topped it. And man, I don't know if we're gonna see a rookie season like that from a quarterback again.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, Washington got it right? I mean, and this is not to disparage Caleb Williams, but Washington knew who they wanted. They got their guy, and he had a great year. Definitely the offensive player of the year, or offensive rookie of the year. There's no doubt about it, and I think it helps. Like, I think it helps being an older quarterback. I actually was just watching earlier, and someone mentioned that this year is the last year of COVID. And what I mean by that is the COVID year, all athletes that played in the NCAA got an extra year of eligibility. So whether they played that year or not, they got extra year of eligibility. So, you have a lot of guys who are a little bit more mature coming out of college. They didn't leave early. They stayed in. And you saw three of those guys actually really make an impact. Daniels is one. He was there for 5 years. Bo Nix, another one in Denver. He was there for 6 years. He went to college for 6 years. And Michael Penix went to college for 6 years. Now, Michael Penix had some injuries, but, I think the experience, and it's going to, a lot of teams are going to look at that moving forward. That not the guy coming out early, not the can't miss prospect. I mean, sure that there's going to be those guys, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, Washington. I think they have to improve a few areas, but they're going to be a very good football team moving forward.
Right. Well, let's switch over to the AFC, because while the NFC turned out to be a blowout, the AFC game was a nail biter. Went down right to the end of the game, which we expected, because Kansas City, they're just the master of one possession game wins this season, and another one which they defeated Buffalo Bills in a nail biter. And the contrast between these two games, I mean, I'll start. What held true for almost every other game in the playoffs: you win the turnover battle, you win the game. Well, actually, Buffalo did win the turnover battle, and they lost the game. And if you were to tell me before this game that Buffalo would win the turnover battle and hold Travis Kelce to 2 receptions for 19 yards and still lose the game, I would have told you you're crazy. But it's exactly what happened. A heartbreak, and I think a masterclass by Andy Reid and Spagnuolo, the coaching staff. I think they just outmaneuvered the Bills in the end. So, what was your impression of that game?
Well, I mean, first of all, it was a great game, right? Back and forth. You started to wonder when it got late whether you're going to have another one of those games that they had a few years ago where they scored like 31 points in the last 2 minutes in overtime. But it wasn't meant to be. Buffalo's inches away from winning that game too. I mean, they were really close. I thought when Kansas City kicked that field goal, they had a little bit. They gave Buffalo a little bit of an opening at a minute 55 to go in the game. I'm saying, that's it's a lot of time left to put a drive together, but they weren't able to. Spagnuolo called up the right plays, and that's the thing. I think people haven't given Kansas City's defense enough credit because of the Mahomes, the Kelce's, right? But those guys played. The defensive game plan from Kansas City was fantastic, right? They got the pressure when they needed to, and even though they didn't get a turnover, Buffalo was lucky not to turn the ball over.
Well, there was
a couple.
Yeah. They did
right?
have
I mean,
some fumbles, but they recovered their own. They recovered their own fumbles. Actually, they fumbled the ball four times in that game, and miraculously recovered all four.
yeah, but it's not just fumble. I mean, in the first drive of the game for Buffalo, I think there was 2 almost near interceptions.
Of course, yeah. I think Josh Allen hung up a couple of meatballs in there. He's very fortunate.
Right. So you know, I mean, that's all part of, I mean, great defense, and it's all part of why I think Kansas City won. But you said it. I mean, they've won 17 straight games, 1-score games, 17 over the last 2 seasons. That is an unbelievable record.
And surprisingly enough, this was the first game in which their offense scored over 30 points all season. So they saved it for a good time, coming up with 32.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. I mean, we talked about it time and time again whenever we were previewing Chiefs games, and they don't care how they win, as long as they win, right? They're not going for style points here. So, well,
it's about the Super Bowl for them, right?
Yeah.
They've done everything else. They've won their division title. They've won the AFC championship, right? They've won the Super Bowl. Right now, they have a mission to do something no one else has ever done, and they're on the verge of it by three-peating. No team has ever three-peated. No team has ever gotten to the Super Bowl trying to three-peat. They've gotten to the title game of the conference, but not the Super Bowl. So this is an accomplishment altogether.
Okay, so now that you've laid it out for us very nicely there, what do you think of the Super Bowl? Do you think same result as 2 years ago, or how do you see this game playing out?
Well, 2 years ago was a really close game. Obviously, I think it boils down to the pass rush of Philadelphia. Their pass rush has been really good, and they hounded Jaden Daniels. Patrick Mahomes showed a lot, is scrambling. I think if you talk to the experts, including I think for us, talking about who's going to lead, which quarterback's going to have the most rushing yards, who's going to make some first downs with their legs, Mahomes wasn't the guy you're thinking about. You're thinking about Josh Allen. And now in this game, you'd more to lean towards a guy like Jalen Hurts making plays with his legs versus Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick Mahomes made plays with his legs against Buffalo. So
I think Mahomes makes those plays with his legs, like when he has to.
Yeah.
And more so Philly, they have drawn up plays with Hurts running. So and the tush push, it's a guarantee that Hurts is gonna be running on those plays. So they telegraph their quarterback runs a little more. Mahomes is more of a freelancer, and yeah.
And it's interesting because Kansas City stuffed Josh Allen on QB sneaks. There's that one controversial play that they're talking about, the fourth down, whether he got the first down or he short on the first down. I believe he was short. If you watch the play, they turned Allen's body, and that's why he didn't get the first down.
Yeah, and
right?
And the replay angle too. The field's angled, right? Like it's not. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it is a little bit deceiving from the TV angle. And I agree. His body was turned, so the head of the football was shielded by Allen's body. So his body was no doubt his body was across the first down marker, but I don't think the ball made it.
Yeah. So if that's something to be wary of for Philadelphia. Like they like that push. They know what's coming and they still do it. I think the game plan is going to be interesting, and if Sirianni watches the Buffalo game against Kansas City, he would have noticed something, which I would think would have been really interesting if Baltimore played them, and that is they were able to run the football. Right, Buffalo ran the football a lot in the second half. And they were dominant, and they were dominant doing it. I have to say that's why I was surprised they didn't go to Cooks more, especially in the fourth. Like they were totally effective running the ball,
and they completely abandoned the run, which was working for them. And I'm with you because Philly's not a team that's going to abandon the run. when you have Saquon Barkley and when you have Ertz, like they are not going to abandon the run. So,
and that's why I'm bringing this up is the key to this game is their ability to run the football and Chiefs' ability to contain Saquon Barkley. If Saquon Barkley gets established and gets going, I like Philadelphia in this game, and so I'm leaning towards it's Kansas City's going for the history. No one's ever done it. There's a reason why no one's ever done it, because it's really difficult to do, and I don't think they're going to do it. They want this is what that's what they played the whole season for. What they've tailored their season for. Andy Reid, same thing, and he's got a lot of history in Philadelphia. I mean, he came up in he made his name in Philadelphia,
and then he got close.
And then his Hall of Fame career, like to solidify how great of a coach he was, he went to Kansas City and has really blossomed to win into a supreme winner to the level of Bill Belichick in New England and the dynasty that Kansas City is. But the last game they played in the Super Bowl was a very tight football game. The same thing they did against San Francisco. They played San Francisco before too. And it was a very tight football game, and they won in overtime last year, and the same thing this year in terms of they're playing Philadelphia, who they played a couple years ago, but Philly's got a new weapon. It's Saquon Barkley, and as I said before on our podcast, and I'm hearing it now. It's probably too late, but I'm hearing it now. Some people are talking to him about MVP for the league. I said, and you and I talk all the time, and I said to me, Saquon was the MVP of the league. I think he's not going to get the MVP of the league, but he's going to damn sure make sure he gets MVP of the Super Bowl. I'm picking Philadelphia to upset Kansas City and win the Super Bowl.
Wow. So I mean, if the MVP voting, I think, is done after the regular season. If the MVP voting included the playoffs, it would be hands down Saquon Barkley as the MVP. Well, I mean, I look at it, like the matchups, and you mentioned one of the matchups there, Saquon Barkley, who wasn't there the last time, and Philly came so close. And so definitely Saquon Barkley against the Kansas City defense, no one's been able to stop him all year. Is Kansas City going to be able to stop him? No. Are they going to be able to slow him down and contain him? You basically just want to remove the big home run. You don't want him to go off, right? He's going to get his yards, but they're looking at containment. So that's a big matchup. I think the coaching advantage is hands down on Kansas City with Andy Reid and Spagnuolo. Sirianni. I think he's kind of redeemed himself. He's taken a lot of heat. A lot of the heat he's kind of brought on himself the last two seasons. But at the end of the day, two Super Bowl appearances in 3 seasons. I think any team would trade places with them in a heartbeat. Then you have the Philly defense, which is number 1 in points allowed and yards allowed, and also Jalen Carter as well. I don't think he was there the last time they played, right? His rookie season was last year, right? This is his second year. And how fortuitous of Philly to have Jalen Carter drop to them in the draft. Of course, Jalen Carter had some off-field issues, which plummeted his draft position and fell into Philly's lap. And what an amazing defender he has turned into in only his second year. So you kind of have Jalen Carter, who wasn't there last time. And the other thing that gives me pause for thought is, Jalen Hurts was like an absolute menace the last that Super Bowl that they had, and in fact, I think, man, you could have made a case for him to be MVP even on the losing team, which is I don't think that's done, but He did almost everything he could possibly do to win that Super Bowl. One thing to keep an eye on is like, you know, he's been hobbled. You know, the last couple games of the season he didn't play. Um, you know, they kind of were very cautious with him. You know, against Green Bay, or like the earlier playoff matchup. He did play, was more active against Washington, like more active in the passing game. But I do not think he's 100%. So, you know, weighing all that, you know, is this going to be Kelsey's last kick at the can? And also, we mentioned that he only had 2 catches for 19 yards against the Bills. So I don't think he's gonna. Yeah, I think he's gonna improve on that. So like, this is a toss up for me, but I think at the end of it, weighing all those matchups that I just threw out there, I'm going to side with the Philadelphia Eagles to win their second Super Bowl and to stop Kansas City from achieving the three-peat. I just think they just got more firepower, and more ways to win than they did the last time they met. So I'm going to go with Philly. I guess we're both on Philly, which would be... I mean, this game is practically a pick-em, so, you know, really big.
It's a toss-up.
Kansas City's favored by 1.5, which is, you know, pretty much a pick-em, 1.5 points, and probably that line is going to move as we get closer to Super Bowl Sunday. So
yeah, I mean, it's a neutral field, so 1.5. I mean, on your home turf, you get 3 points. So, yeah, they're a small favorite. It's going to be a tight game. I look at, as I said before, I think Philadelphia, they'll get more pressure on Mahomes than Buffalo did. And you're right. I mean, Jalen Carter is that guy's a freak. He is 330 pounds, but he can move. Right, you don't find guys 330 pounds like that who could move. So he's going to cause a lot of problems in the middle. Philadelphia's got a great pass rush, so they'll get after Patrick Mahomes. But I like I said, the Saquon Barkley, he is not going to get the MVP of the league, but he's going to make sure he gets MVP of the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And so I'm leaning that way. Kansas City doesn't have. They have solid running backs. They're not great. And Kelsey, you know, he's a little older, so like he's still got it. But there is a lot. You're right. There's more weapons on Philadelphia. There's more guys who can make plays. Kansas City has one guy who's explosive, like Saquon Barkley, but he's a receiver, and he's a rookie, right? Xavier Worthy, he's a rookie. And it's hard to make impacts as a rookie, you know, especially in a big game like this. It's possible, but it's hard. But I can't say enough about Saquon Barkley. I mean, I've been impressed with him all year, and he's shown it. And yeah, we're both on Philly, which is surprising. A lot of people probably are in Kansas City, but because they know how to win, but.
It's a dangerous game to go against Pat Mahomes, so and Andy Reid. So, but I guess, well, we're gonna do it. So,
yeah.
Anyways, can't wait. It's gonna be an amazing game, and what an amazing to cap off a pretty amazing season.
Yeah, it's gonna be sad though. You know, the season's over.
Yeah.
Right? But. Yeah, it was a lot of new things, new teams, new faces, right? The fact like Detroit is an up and coming team. Washington is an up and coming team. So next year is going to be looking even better. But we got to wait. It's February. We got to wait till August, September. So you got to 6-7 months. We gotta wait now for next season. After
we'll have more than enough to keep us busy with the draft and of course the coaching carousel. That I think only one spot left in New Orleans, but it's been interesting so far. So thanks everybody for listening, and thanks DDawg for breaking it down. And on to the Super Bowl. Bye everyone. Bye DDawg.
Bye. Take care.